On the morning Aria Kapoor signed the contract for Evermere House, London was still wrapped in milky fog. From the rear terrace, the river looked like a strip of silver ribbon disappearing into the mist. The estate's honeystone facade glowed faintly under the clouds, its mullioned windows catching the weak light like sleepy, expensive eyes. Gardeners moved in slow choreography across the topiary lawn, clipping boxwood into perfect spheres and cones, while inside, staff bustled with the quiet efficiency of people who knew what everything cost. Aria's father loved this place. It has presence, Raj Kapoor had said on their first tour, standing in the great hall with his hands behind his back, evaluating the frescoed ceiling as if he might buy it along with the rest of the property. Not nouveau. Not flashy. Old money bones. Dad, it's a wedding venue, not a merger, Aria had replied, but she'd smiled. Evermere House was exactly the kind of place the Kapoors liked to be seen in, grand but tasteful, steeped in history, the kind of place that came up in Tatler spreads. The Kapoor family were rich in the way that seemed theoretical to most people. The kind of wealthy that made other rich families feel vaguely underdressed. Raj's grandparents had started with a small textile factory in Mumbai. Raj had turned it into a global luxury empire. Kapoor Holdings owned hotels, fashion houses, a chain of private hospitals, and, more recently, a biotech startup he referred to as his little hobby, even though it had a valuation larger than some countries' GDP. Aria was his second daughter and his quiet favorite. She'd inherited his calm, his carefulness, his ability to make people underestimate just how sharp she was. She ran the philanthropic arm of the family business, which meant her name appeared in glossy magazines beside phrases like educational access and climate resilience. She was used to boardrooms and ballrooms, donor dinners, and disaster zones. She could soothe a hedge fund manager and a village elder with equal ease. None of which had quite prepared her for wedding planning with her own family. She sat now at a long mahogany table in Evermere's library, a leather-bound contract open before her. Beside her, her fiancé, Noah Sinclair, squeezed her hand under the table. "You look like you're signing away your soul," he whispered. "In a way, I am," she murmured back. "At least my October." Noah stifled a laugh. He was the one piece of her life that didn't quite fit the Kapoor mold. Old Etonian surname, yes, but no money to back it. Noah taught biomedical engineering at Imperial and drove a 10-year-old Volvo he stubbornly refused to replace. He had a slightly crooked smile, an overdeveloped sense of integrity, and the kind of brain that could explain a gene editing technique and a football statistic in the same breath. Raj tolerated him on the grounds that at least he wasn't after their money. Meera, Aria's mother, loved him outright because he listened to her stories and remembered her favorite chocolates. "You're sure about the date?" asked Helena, the venue's manager, pen poised. "We do still have late September and early November open. If October 12th is too far out, 14th, Aria corrected automatically. And yes. It's the only weekend that works between Noah's teaching schedule and the conference season. Besides, Meera said, sipping her herbal tea, the 14th is good. In numerology, 1 and 4 make 5. 5 is auspicious. It's also the date my parents got married, Aria added, softening. And my grandparents. Raj nodded once. 14th it is. Helena smiled. Very well. So we'll put you down for Saturday, October 14th, next year. Ceremony in the River Garden, reception in the East Ballroom. Deposit to secure the date is £30,000. Once that's received, the date is completely yours. Raj slid a platinum card across the table before Aria could reach her handbag. "Take it from this," he said. "Dad, I can pay," Aria began. "I insist," he said. "I only get to marry off a daughter twice." Once, Aria and Meera said in unison. He chuckled. The card machine beeped successfully. Helena stamped the contract, slid copies into leather folders, and stood. "Congratulations, Ms. Kapoor, Mr. Sinclair. You are officially booked for October 14th. Aria's phone buzzed in her handbag. Probably her sister, she thought, but she ignored it. For that one moment, staring at the ink on the page, she let herself feel uncomplicated joy. This was going to be her day. Her river. Her estate. Her October. Lina Kapoor never liked being told no. As the eldest, she'd been given the universe on a silver platter and had grown up assuming the world would rearrange itself if she pushed hard enough. Where Aria was calm and deliberate, Lina burned hot, laughing too loudly at parties, buying couture she'd wear once, leaving a trail of admirers behind her like cigarette smoke. She's fire, Mira would say fondly. You're water. You balance each other. They did not, in fact, balance each other. They orbited, occasionally colliding, mostly avoiding. Aria's earliest memory of Lina's vindictiveness was from when she was 8 and Lina 11. Aria had been given a small white rabbit by a family friend. She'd adored the creature, fed it carrots, whispered secrets into its soft ears. Lina had rolled her eyes. It smells, she'd complained. It's scratching the floors. You spend more time with that animal than with your own sister. One afternoon, the rabbit was simply gone. The staff searched the house, the garden, the hedge maze. The CCTV footage in the side corridor, inconveniently, had glitched for a 6-minute span during which a small figure in a hoodie could vaguely be seen carrying something white out of frame. We think it got out through a gap in the fence, the head groundskeeper had said. These things happen, Miss Aria. Aria had known. Lina had looked too innocent at dinner, scrolling her phone, not meeting her eye. Years later, she'd overheard Lina bragging at a party, drunk on champagne and attention. Oh my God, my sister cried for a week over that stupid rabbit, she'd said, smirking. Papa bought her a pony to make up for it. Best investment I ever made. It was like that, always. Take. Break. Force everyone to clean up after her. Still, as adults, they managed a chilly truce. Separate lives in the same glittering circles. Lina dated footballers and music producers, Aria dated men her father's lawyers had vetted. Lina blew through trust fund installments, Aria reinvested hers and donated chunks discreetly. Their parents pretended not to see the differences. In public, you are Kapoor, Raj would say. There is no Lina, no Aria. There is only us. Us, Aria thought, usually meant Lina first. So when Aria announced her engagement at a family dinner at the Connaught, the first thing she saw after the initial chorus of congratulations was the flicker in her sister's eyes. Not jealousy exactly. More like appraisal. Finally, Lina had teased, kissing her cheek. I thought you and your professor were going to stay in premarital limbo forever. Academia moves slowly, Noah had said with a wry smile. Lina looked him up and down. At least you're pretty. You'll make handsome babies. She toasted them with vintage champagne and spent the rest of the evening telling a story about some producer who'd flown her to Mykonos just for dinner, darling, but Aria felt the tension like a low-grade current under the tablecloth. She tried to ignore it. She had a venue to plan, a fiancé to adore, a life to build. Lina would find her own man, her own moment. There was room for both of them, wasn't there? The scans looked like abstract art to Aria, white swoops in dark spaces, the pale ropes of her fiancé's spine. The herniation is here, said the consultant, circling an area on the MRI. You see how the disc is compressing the nerve root? Aria nodded like she understood. Noah lay back on the exam bed, jaw tight, one fist gripping the thin blanket. How bad is it? He asked. The surgeon, a man with kind eyes and a terrifying CV, sighed. Your pain level from 1 to 10? Depends if I'm teaching or standing too long, Noah said. But last week? 11. And the weakness? The surgeon asked. Noah flexed his right foot. It trembled. I trip on the stairs sometimes, he admitted. And my leg, sometimes it just gives way. It's no longer a conservative management situation, the surgeon said gently. If this were just pain, we might continue with physiotherapy and injections. But with neurological symptoms and progressive weakness, we're talking about potential permanent damage if we delay. Meaning? Aria asked, her voice thinner than she liked. Meaning early surgery is advisable, he said. We could book you in within the next 2 weeks. Microdiscectomy. You're young and healthy, your recovery prospects are good. But you'll need at least 8 to 12 weeks of limited activity. No long periods of standing. No dancing. He offered a small smile. I'm afraid the wedding will have to wait. The word hit Aria like a physical blow. Wait. Her mind snapped to the image of Evermere House, the river, the date etched into the contract, October 14th. Could he recover by October? She asked, even though she already knew the numbers didn't crunch. The surgeon hesitated, and that was answer enough. We don't plan weddings around spinal surgery, he said quietly. We plan spinal surgery around preserving function and quality of life. If we operate in the next fortnight, by October he'll be mobile, yes, but still fatigued, still vulnerable. I would strongly advise against a large event with that much stress and standing. My mother will be devastated, Noah muttered. Your mother will prefer you walking at 40, Aria shot back, then took his hand. We'll move the wedding. He looked at her, eyes dark. I'm so sorry, he whispered. Stop. You're not ruining anything, she said. We'll have our wedding. We'll just have it later, when you're not high on painkillers. He tried to laugh, but it dissolved into a wince. They scheduled the surgery for the following Thursday. On the way home, sitting in the back of the chauffeured Mercedes her father insisted they use for anything medical, Aria stared at her phone. The Evermere contract sat in her inbox as a PDF, mocking her. She typed out a message to the family WhatsApp. Aria, hi everyone. Quick update. Noah's spinal issues are worse than we thought. He needs surgery next week and a long recovery. We've decided to postpone the wedding, obviously October is no longer realistic. We'll share more when I can, but please keep him in your prayers. The replies came in fast. Mira, oh my God. My poor son. Call me immediately. Dad, understood. We'll talk when you're free. Aunt Pooja, Beta, I will light a lamp for him. Cousin Alicia, OMG Aria, are you okay? Lina, OMG that sucks, hope he feels better soon. Two Hearts will do a girls' night to cheer you up when you have time. Aria stared at that last one for a second longer than the others, then shook herself. Not everything was about her and Lina's endless tug-of-war. Sometimes a heart emoji was just a heart emoji. She called Evermere House the next morning. Helena answered. When Aria explained, her voice broke on the word surgery. I'm so sorry to hear that, Helena said. Is he all right? He will be. We can't do October. I don't know when we'll be able to do anything. There's no rush, Helena said. Let's look at options. Our policy is that deposits are non-refundable if you cancel, but in the case of a serious medical issue, we can usually offer a date change. Even if it's next year? Aria asked. Or the year after? Helena tapped at her keyboard. Let me see. So you're currently booked for October 14th next year. We can roll your deposit to the following year's calendar. I'm just going to generate an amendment to your contract confirming we're holding the same date, October 14th, 1 year later. Does that work? Relief flooded Aria like morphine. Yes, she said. That's perfect. Helena emailed the amendment before they hung up, a clean, formal document signed electronically by the venue owner, confirming that the client's event date of October 14, 2025, is hereby moved to October 14, 2026. All amounts paid to date shall be applied to the new date. The original contract remains in full force and effect. Aria countersigned it and saved it carefully to a special wedding folder. Noah's surgery went well. The first night after, he was groggy, eyes glassy with morphine. Aria sat in the private hospital suite, Kapoor-owned, of course, listening to the machine's beep, scrolling through her phone as a distraction. Her sisters-in-law-to-be had sent flowers. Her father had sent their private chef to deliver food because hospital menus are an insult. Lina had posted a picture from St. Tropez, captioned, "Life's short. Book the flight. Buy the shoes. Say yes to everything that makes you feel alive." Airplane sparkles, no mention of her sister's fiancé undergoing surgery, but whatever, Aria thought. At least she'd sent that text. Days blurred, pain, physio, pills. Aria learned to lift a man twice her size without jarring his back, learned to read his face for the difference between it hurts and something's wrong. She slept on an awkward leather sofa in the corner of the suite, waking at each nurse check, each beep. The wedding became background noise. Until, 2 weeks later, it roared back like a freight train. The call came when Aria was washing her face in the en-suite bathroom. Her phone vibrated on the sink counter. She wiped her hands and glanced at the screen. "Mum." She answered with a tired smile already on her face. "Hi, Mum. I was going to call you after, Aria." Mira's voice was thick, as if she'd been crying. "Where are you?" "Still at the hospital." "Why? What's wrong? Is Dad okay?" There was a pause. "Your sister just came over for lunch," Mira said. She had news. A cold prickle crawled up Aria's spine. "News?" she repeated. "What kind of news?" "She's engaged." The words didn't compute at first. "Engaged to who?" Aria asked, more sharply than she meant. Mira sniffed. "To Tariq. You know, the investor from Dubai? They've been seeing each other for months." Aria searched her mental files. She'd seen him once, at a party, a sleek man in a perfectly tailored suit, all cologne and teeth. "Okay," Aria said slowly. "Congratulations to her, I suppose?" "Why are you crying?" "Because," Mira said, voice wobbling, "she's already booked her wedding. For next October. At Evermere House. On the 14th. For a second, Aria thought she'd misheard. That's not possible," she said. "Evermere moved my booking. They rolled my deposit to that date." "I know, Beta," Mira said. "But your sister just announced, she did a whole slideshow in the dining room, October 14th at Evermere. She said it was fate." Aria laughed. A short, incredulous sound. "Mom, you must have misunderstood. Maybe she meant September. Or, do you think I don't know numbers?" Mira snapped. She showed us the confirmation email. October 14th. I told her, that's Aria's date, and she said, her voice crumpled. She said you cancelled. That you postponed indefinitely and forfeit the date. She said the venue told her it was available, so she took it. Aria's pulse thudded in her ears. "I didn't cancel," she said. "I have an amendment. I have a signed document. Your sister said if it mattered, you would have told her directly," Mira whispered. "She said you left it floating, so she made a decision." Aria stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her own face looked unfamiliar, eyes too wide, mouth a thin, controlled line. "I need to make a call," she said. "I'll call you back." She hung up before her mother could reply. Her hands were shaking as she dialed Evermere. This time, she asked for the owner. "Ms. Kapoor, of course," said a man's voice. "This is Charles Avery. How may I help you?" Aria took a breath. "I have a question," she said. "It's about my booking. For October 14th next year. I believe, there's been some confusion. Just one moment, he said. She could hear the click of a keyboard. Yes, here we are. Aria Kapoor and Noah Sinclair. Contract signed March 2024. Amendment signed July 5th, moving the date to October 14, 2026. All in order. Aria closed her eyes. Relief. And there's no other booking? She asked. For that date? Charles hesitated. I'm afraid there is, he said. Lina Kapoor and Tariq Al-Hamadi. Booked 3 days ago. Deposit received. The relief evaporated, replaced by ice. I see, Aria said. Mr. Avery, I'm sure you understand why I'm concerned. Yes, this is highly irregular, he said. She could hear him flipping pages. It appears our new events manager only saw that your original date had been vacated on our public calendar. She didn't scroll to the amendment. So my sister's booking was accepted because someone didn't read properly, Aria said. I apologize for the oversight, he said. But your amended contract would, in principle, take priority. The question is how to resolve the double booking. She thought of Lina in the dining room, doing a slideshow like a TED Talk, claiming the date as if she'd discovered it in the wilderness. I'd like to come in, Aria said. In person. With my paperwork. Of course, Charles said. Shall we say tomorrow morning at 10? Make it 9, Aria said. I'd like to get ahead of my sister for once. Noah was asleep when she came back into the hospital room, his breath shallow, lines of pain smoothed temporarily by medication. Aria sat down in the visitor's chair and stared at the river beyond the window. The Kapoor hospital overlooked the Thames, everything in their world seemed to come with a view of water. Somewhere out there, in another curve of river, Evermere House stood waiting. Her phone buzzed. Lina, heard you and Mom had a little chat. Aria's jaw clenched. Aria, what are you doing? The dots appeared immediately. Lina, relax. You postponed. You left the date. It was free. I took it. That's how this works. You snooze, you lose. Her stomach twisted. Aria, you knew we postponed to the following year. I sent it to the family group chat. Lina, you said postponed indefinitely. Not dibs on this random Saturday forever. The venue said it was open. I booked it. Don't be petty. Aria stared at the messages until they blurred. She could have typed out an essay. Could have called. Could have begged. Instead, she took a screenshot of the conversation, including Lina's earlier "OMG that sucks, hope he feels better soon," and the "you snooze, you lose." Then she forwarded the screenshot to her email and saved it in the same wedding folder as the contract. Noah shifted in his sleep, grimacing. Aria reached over and smoothed his hair back. I won't let her take this too, she whispered. The Evermere drive curved through manicured trees, their leaves just starting to think about turning. Aria's car, one of the family's fleet of black Bentleys, crunched over the gravel as she pulled up to the front steps. Charles Avery met her at the door himself. Ms. Kapoor, he said, bowing his head slightly. I'm terribly sorry to trouble you at such a difficult time. I appreciate you seeing me, she said, her smile thin. She dressed like she was going into a board meeting, charcoal trouser suit, silk blouse, hair scraped into a low bun. No engagement ring, it felt like bad luck to wear it while Noah was in pain. Just a plain gold band she hadn't taken off since university. He led her to his office, a wood-paneled room that smelled faintly of pipe smoke and polish. On the desk, 2 folders waited. Let me begin by saying, Charles said, that Evermere House values its reputation. We do not double book. We do not play favorites. This situation is entirely our fault, and I intend to resolve it fairly. Aria laid her documents on the desk. Fairly, she repeated. Good. She slid forward the original contract and the amendment. Charles checked them against the copies in his folder and nodded. As I said on the phone, your contract is older, March, and the amendment is clear. Your date is October 14th, 2026. Your sister's contract is dated August 2nd. He opened the second folder. It appears our new manager, Amelia, did not cross-check our amendment registry before confirming her booking. A serious oversight. What does your contract say about double bookings? Aria asked. And about bad faith bookings? Charles flipped through a dog-eared copy of standard terms. Section 10A covers administrative error. In such a case, the first legitimate booking stands, the second is cancelled and any funds are returned in full, he recited. Section 12C, however, is more specific. Aria waited. In the event that a client secures a booking with knowledge that the date was previously reserved, and does so with intent to displace the original client, Evermere House reserves the right to cancel the booking, retain all deposits, and decline any future bookings from that party, he read. Has that ever been used? Aria asked. Once, he said. A rather nasty case involving two rival society families and an inheritance dispute. It was unpleasant. We prefer not to invoke it. He looked at her. You mentioned in your email that you had evidence your sister knew you held this date. Aria opened her laptop and slid it toward him. The WhatsApp group chat gleamed on the screen. Here, she said. This is the message I sent about postponing due to Noah's surgery. My parents, aunt, cousins, and my sister are all in this group. You can see her response. He read. OMG, that sucks, hope he feels better soon, he murmured. So she knew the wedding was postponed, not cancelled. He scrolled. And then this one, Aria said, pointing to the one-on-one chat. You snooze, you lose. That was after she booked Evermere. She knew exactly what she was doing. Charles sat back, expression tightening. I admit, this does not look good, he said. However, for us to invoke Section 12C, we'd need to establish that she knew not just that your wedding was postponed, but that your specific date here was held for you. I grew up with her, Aria said. Believe me, she knew. My mother told her to her face yesterday. She booked after that. Charles steepled his fingers. What outcome are you seeking, Ms. Kapoor? He asked. Aria exhaled slowly. First, I want our contract honored, she said. I will not be forced to move again because my sister decided to commandeer my venue while my fiancé was in hospital. Of course, Charles said at once. Your booking takes precedence. Second, Aria said, her voice cooling, I want her booking cancelled. Publicly, if necessary. I want it to be clear that she tried to take something that wasn't hers and it did not work. Charles's brows knit. We do not generally make such matters public, he said. Discretion is part of our service. But we can certainly cancel and inform her of the reason. And third, Aria said, I want you to enforce your own contract. She did this in bad faith. If your policy says you can keep the deposit, keep it. He studied her face. You understand that this is not a small sum, he said. Your sister paid a 50% deposit, £80,000. Aria had assumed a smaller number, and for a heartbeat, surprise blinked through her. Then she thought of Lina's St. Tropez posts, her constant declarations of Daddy's little princess, the way she burned through cars and handbags like they were scented candles. £80,000 would sting. Not ruin. But sting. She weaponized your mistake to hurt me, Aria said. You can choose to help her or to uphold your own rules. Which option do you think sends the better message to your clients? Charles glanced at the framed testimonials on his wall. Evermere had built an entire brand on exclusivity and fairness. No weddings overlapped. No privileges bought. If it got out that they'd let one Kapoor sister steal another's date because they were scared of upsetting a billionaire family, the gossip would poison them. He sighed. I will need to speak with our legal counsel, he said. And your sister, to hear her side. But I am inclined to agree. Our contract is clear. And frankly, I find this behavior distasteful. He picked up the phone on his desk. I'll call her now, he said. For transparency, I'll put it on speaker. Aria's heart thudded. The line rang twice. Hi, it's Lina, came the bright, polished voice. Evermere. I was just about to call about the tasting menu. We're thinking, Ms. Kapoor, this is Charles Avery, he interrupted. I need to clarify some issues about your booking. Oh. The false sweetness sharpened. Is there a problem? I understand you are aware that the date you booked, October 14th, was previously reserved by your sister, Ms. Aria Kapoor, Charles said. His tone was neutral, almost bored. Silence. Aria pictured the calculations whirring behind Lina's eyes. I mean, she was booked, Lina said finally. But she cancelled, didn't she? Because of her boyfriend's back drama? The girl at your office said the date was available. She postponed, Charles said. And she has an amended contract, signed by me, confirming that her booking was moved to that same date the following year. You acknowledge you were aware of the postponement. Oh my God, did she come crying to you? Lina snapped. This is exactly like her. She can't just be happy for me, she has to make everything about her. Aria's jaw clenched. Charles's expression didn't change. Ms. Kapoor, this is not about family politics, he said. This is about our contract. Section 12C states that if a client secures a booking with knowledge that the date was previously reserved, and does so with intent to displace the original client, we reserve the right to cancel the booking and retain the deposit. Ms. Aria Kapoor has provided documentary evidence that you knew her wedding was postponed to a future date. Oh, for God's sake, Lina said. You can't seriously prove what I was thinking. I saw an open date, I took it. That's all. You snooze, you lose messages, suggestive, Charles said dryly. Regardless, as the original contract predates yours and the amendment was in place, your booking was taken in error. Therefore, we're canceling it with immediate effect. That's fine, just send the money back to my father's account, Lina said. I'll take my business elsewhere. As I mentioned, Charles said, Section 12C also gives us the right to retain the deposit in cases of bad faith booking. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then, what? Lina's voice climbed half an octave. No. That's £80,000. You can't just take that. We didn't take anything, Ms. Kapoor, Charles said. You volunteered it as a deposit. Under the terms, put my sister on, Lina snarled. I know she's there. This reeks of her. Charles looked at Aria. She nodded once. He pressed a button to mute himself and unmuted the speaker in the room. Hi, Lina, Aria said. You absolute bitch, Lina hissed. You really went down there with your little sad girl stories and got them to steal my deposit? You stole my date while Noah was in spinal surgery, Aria said evenly. You told me you snooze, you lose and blocked me. Actions have consequences. Oh my God, are you seriously acting like a victim right now? Lina said. You postponed indefinitely. Everyone knows that means the date is up for grabs. You have a million other venues you could use. You could literally build a venue. You just couldn't stand me having one thing. We had an amendment, Aria said. I shared it in the group. You saw it. So what? Lina spat. You wanted October 14th? Have it. I'll get married at Claridge's instead. But that money is mine, Aria. Dad gave it to me. You don't get to punish me by stealing £80,000. I'm not stealing anything, Aria said. Evermere is enforcing its policy. This is your doing, Lina said, her voice dropping into something ugly. You've always hated that I shine brighter. And now that your little professor is broken and your wedding is pushed back, you can't bear that I found someone bigger, better, richer, faster. Aria's hand tightened on the edge of the desk so hard her knuckles went white. My fiancé is learning to walk without pain again, she said, her voice low. And I still wouldn't trade him for every Tariq on this planet. But enjoy explaining to him why his fiancé just gambled £80,000 on a stunt. Lina let out a wordless scream. Charles took the phone off speaker, murmured something calm and final, and ended the call. The office was very quiet. Aria realized she was shaking. Ms. Kapoor, Charles said, I apologize that you had to endure that. We will send formal notice to your sister canceling her booking and a confirmation letter for yours. No other reservations will be accepted on that date, for any year, without your written consent. Thank you, Aria managed. She gathered her papers, slid them into her bag. As she stood, Charles cleared his throat. If I may, he said. You are not the first family to have disputes on these grounds. May I suggest legal counsel? Simply to create some clarity about who controls what, going forward. Aria smiled tightly. We have more lawyers than friends, she said. I'm sure they'll be thrilled to add this to their plate. The first call came from her father. Aria, Raj said, without preamble. What did you do? She was at the hospital again, walking slowly with Noah down the corridor, his hand on the rail, his steps careful. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. I enforced a contract, she said. Yours. The one you paid for when you gave me the Evermere deposit. Your sister tells me you colluded with the venue to seize her money, he said. £80,000, Aria. This is not a joke. Neither is spinal surgery, she said. Neither is orchestrating a theft of my wedding date while I was sleeping on a hospital sofa. You postponed, he said, as if that explained anything. I postponed and signed an amendment, she said. You're a businessman, Dad. You know what a contract means. If one of your hotels double-booked a penthouse suite and the second client knowingly tried to push out the first, what would you do? He was silent for a moment. It's not the same, he said finally. This is family. Yes, she said. Family. That's supposed to mean you don't kick someone when they're down. She's your sister, he said, his voice tightening. She's in tears. Her fiancé is furious. They've sent out save the dates. Do you understand the embarrassment this causes? Claridge's will still have a ballroom available, Aria said. Or the Dorchester. Or one of your own hotels. She can get married. She just can't do it on my bones. Your mother is devastated, he said softly. She says you are tearing the family apart. Lina did that, Aria said quietly. I just refused to let her get away with it. He sighed. I raised you both to be stronger than this, he said. To rise above petty fights. You raised us to win, she said. Maybe you don't like seeing me win against her. There was a pause so long that for a moment she thought he'd hung up. You sound like your grandfather, he said at last. Hard. Cold. You trained me that way, she said. Now you're surprised? He exhaled. I need to fix this, he said. For the family. I will speak to Evermere. See if there is any way to reverse this without litigation. If you pressure them to break their own rules for Lina, Aria said, you undermine me. You also risk a scandal if this gets out. Up to you. You would leak it? He asked sharply. I'm not Lina, she said. I don't stage disasters. But their competitors will talk. People at that level always do. We are not the only Kapoor clients they have. He made a low sound, somewhere between a growl and a groan. You've become dangerous, he said. Only when I'm pushed, she replied. He hung up. Noah had stopped at the end of the corridor, leaning against the rail, watching her. Family drama? He asked. She walked over and slipped under his arm to support him. Just my father being my father, she said. You okay? He asked. She wanted to say yes. Instead, she shrugged. I did what you told me to do, she said. You said, don't let them walk all over you just because they're blood. He nodded. I also said, try not to burn everything down in the process, he said gently. He pulled her a little closer. But for what it's worth. I'm proud of you. She laughed, short and brittle. Half the family thinks I went nuclear, she said. The other half is just mad Lina finally met someone willing to slap her wrist. My vote's with the second half, he said. Her phone buzzed. Aunt Pooja, Beta, what is happening? Lina is screaming, your mother is crying, your father is yelling at someone in Dubai. You must come for dinner. We must talk. Cousin Alicia, OMG Aria, did you really get Evermere to keep her deposit? Savage TBH Uncle Rajesh, your behavior is unbecoming. We do not air our wars in public. Unknown number, you ruined my life over a stupid date. I will never forgive you. Aria stared at the last one. Are you happy? The text might as well have said. Was it worth it? She typed and deleted 3 responses. Finally, she wrote, you tried to profit off Noah's pain. You weren't thinking about me or him. You were thinking about winning. I simply reminded you that games have rules. She left it in drafts. They held the family summit at the Kapoor's primary London house, a glass and marble monolith overlooking Hyde Park. Aria did not want to go. I'll be your bad back excuse, Noah offered. Tell them your invalid fiancé needs you to adjust his ice pack. You're walking without the cane now, she said. They'd call my bluff. He shrugged. Then I'll come and make pain noises every time your sister speaks. I love you, she said. I know, he replied. In the end, she went alone. The foyer glittered with chandeliers. Staff took her coat and offered her a drink she declined. Voices drifted from the drawing room, Lina's high, angry whine, Mira's sobbing murmur, Raj's controlled baritone. When she walked in, the room snapped to attention. Lina stood by the fireplace in a white silk dress that looked like it had been painted on. Her eyes were red, but whether from crying or rage, Aria couldn't tell. Tariq was sprawled on the sofa like a man auditioning for a magazine shoot, one arm slung over the back, Rolex flashing. Ah, he said when he saw Aria. The famous little sister. Aria ignored him. Mira stood from the armchair, wiping her cheeks. Beta, she said, reaching for Aria. Why are you doing this? To your own sister? I could ask the same of her, Aria said briskly. But sure. Let's talk. Raj gestured to a chair. Sit, he said. We need to resolve this. Aria sat, crossing her legs, folding her hands in her lap. It felt like a shareholders' meeting where she was outnumbered. Lina pounced first. You humiliated me, she hissed. Do you have any idea how it feels to call your venue and be told you've been banned? To have them say your name like you're some scammer? You did scam, Aria said calmly. You took advantage of a clerical error to grab a date you knew I already held. It's a day, Lina snapped. You're acting like I stole your kidney. You tried to steal my wedding while my fiancé was under anesthetic, Aria said. You blocked my number, gloated, and expected me to roll over. You chose war, Lina. I just didn't surrender. Tarek smirked. I have to say, he drawled, it was impressive. Colder than I expected from you, Aria. You have more spine than your man. Raj shot him a warning look, but Aria just smiled thinly. Coming from the man who thought £800 was a generous charity donation, she said, your compliments mean little. He blinked. Enough, Raj said sharply. This is exactly the kind of ugliness I cannot tolerate. Then perhaps you should have raised fewer vipers, Aunt Pooja said from the corner, startling them. Aria hadn't noticed her there, quiet as wallpaper. You encouraged them to compete. Now you are shocked they fight. Mira glared at her sister. Pooja, this is not helpful. Pooja shrugged. I am not here to be helpful, she said. I am here because my nieces are tearing each other apart over a party. It's not just a party, Lina snapped. It's my wedding. And mine, Aria said. Same venue, same date. One of us had it first. One of us tried to steal. Why is this even a debate? Because, Raj said, family does not punish family with lawyers and clauses. We sort things internally. You mean we let Lina do what she likes and everyone else adjusts, Aria said. Silence. Mira wrung her hands. Aria, beta, she said. We are not saying what she did was right. It was wrong. Very wrong. But this was harsh. You could have just said no. You could have asked Evermere to move you again. You have connections. She doesn't. Aria laughed, incredulous. She doesn't? She lives off your platinum cards, she said. You would have happily paid whatever Evermere needed to shunt me aside. You're just upset the venue chose me over her. Lina's eyes flashed. They chose the one with the sob story, she spat. Poor Aria, with her broken fiancé. Always so noble, so long-suffering. You weaponize his pain, you know that? Aria's throat went cold. Get his name out of your mouth, she said. Why? Lina sneered. He's the reason you get to play martyr. Oh, poor me, I had to postpone, feel sorry for me, give me special treatment. You think I don't see how you perform suffering for applause? Aria stood abruptly. Performed suffering, she repeated. You weren't there when I slept on a hospital sofa for 10 nights. You weren't there when the nurse told me his bladder might not work properly. You weren't there when he tried to stand and almost passed out. You were posting bikini photos from a yacht. Lina rolled her eyes. Different coping mechanisms, she said. I don't see why I should have to rearrange my whole life just because yours got messy. Raj raised a hand. Enough, he said. Enough. This is going nowhere. We need a solution. The solution is already in place, Aria said, sitting again. Evermere honored my contract. They cancelled hers and kept the deposit, as per their own rules. I didn't force them, I presented evidence. They made a business decision. You went there, Raj said. You manipulated the narrative. I told the truth, Aria said. If the truth makes Lina look bad, that's not my fault. Mira dabbed at her eyes. But the money, she whispered. 80,000. Gone. 80,000, Aria said, out of a 7-figure trust you topped up last year because she needed more freedom. It's a lesson, not a ruin. That's not your decision to make, Raj said, his tone icy. I didn't make it, Aria said. Evermere did. You pushed them, he snapped. No, Dad, Aria said quietly. They pushed back. For once. Someone told Lina no, and you can't stand it. Lina let out a sharp laugh. Look at you, she said. You're enjoying this. Don't pretend you're not. You love finally having one thing I can't take from you. You probably saved that stupid text just so you could show it off. Aria thought of the screenshot, neatly filed. Of course I saved it, she said. You taught me to. Raj pinched the bridge of his nose. All right, he said. Here is what I propose. Aria keeps her date at Evermere. Lina, you move to one of our hotels. I will personally ensure it is as lavish as you desire. As for the lost deposit, I will, no, Aria said. Four pairs of eyes snapped to her. You will not reimburse her, she said. If you do, you reward her behavior. You teach her that contracts mean nothing because Daddy will fix it. You are not in a position to tell me what to do with my own money, Raj said, voice dangerously low. I am not, Aria agreed. But I am in a position to tell you that if you do, I will remember. The next time you ask me to step in, to donate, to smile for a camera, to clean up a mess, I will remember that you chose to erase the one consequence she ever faced. Raj stared at her. You would jeopardize the foundation? He asked. The work you say you care so deeply about? I would not jeopardize the work, she said. I would jeopardize the brand. You have other daughters of your rich friends to trot out, Dad. They'd be thrilled to have their names on things. Let Lina be the face. She likes lights. Mira gasped. Aria. Lina scoffed. As if you'd ever walk away, she said. You live for that halo. Saint Aria, savior of orphans. You think you're any less addicted than I am? At least I admit I like pretty things. Aria met her gaze. You're not wrong, she said softly. I like my work. I like the attention when it helps my causes. I like the power. I learned from the best. She looked at her father. But I am not so addicted I will let you gaslight me in my own life, she said. Raj looked tired suddenly, older. You have my spine, he said. I used to be proud of that. You gave me a sword, she said. I just stopped aiming it solely at myself. Silence settled, heavy as velvet. Aunt Pooja stood, smoothing her sari. I think this conversation is finished, she said. Nothing good will come from more words. Mira sobbed into her handkerchief. You are sisters, she said. How will you look at each other at Diwali? At Christmas? At your children's birthdays? The same way we always have, Aria said. Through glass. Lina's eyes glittered. Enjoy your little victory, she said. Enjoy your cursed date. I hope it rains. I hope the food is cold. I hope he throws his back out trying to dance with you. Tariq laughed under his breath. Aria stood. I hope your husband reads contracts more carefully than you do, she said. She walked out before anyone could stop her. In the foyer, a maid hurried to bring her coat. Miss Aria, the woman whispered, eyes wide. Are you okay? Aria forced a smile. I will be, she said. Outside, the air was cold and bright. The park trees swayed. Her phone buzzed. Noah, how bad was it, on a scale of awkward dinner to HBO family drama? She smiled, the first real one all evening. Aria, somewhere between Succession and a bad Karen Joher film. Noah, perfect. Bring wine. She typed, on my way home. Home. Not the Glass Palace, not Evermere, not the branded hospital. A small flat near Notting Hill, where the floors creaked and the curtains didn't match but everything was theirs. She slipped into the back of the waiting Bentley and, for the first time since this started, let herself cry. The story hit the gossip columns 2 weeks later. Aria was in a taxi on the way back from a site visit for one of her education projects when her phone started pinging with notifications. At first she ignored them, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, but when her communications director called, she knew it wasn't nothing. "Please tell me a politician tweeted something stupid and that's why my phone's exploding," Aria said, shouldering her tote. "I wish," said Zara. "Have you seen the Daily Globe's lifestyle section today?" "No," Aria said. "Should I have?" "I'm sending you a link," Zara said. "Do not read the comments. Call me after." The line clicked off. A second later, a message appeared. "Zara, warning." Aria tapped the link. The headline screamed up at her, "Charity Princess or Ice Queen?" Inside the Kapoor sisters' £80,000 wedding war. Her stomach dropped. She scanned the article, each line a slap. Sources close to the Kapoor family say their golden daughters, philanthropist Aria and influencer Lina, are locked in a vicious battle over a wedding venue. When Aria's fiancé encountered health problems, she indefinitely postponed her lavish Evermere House wedding, leaving the property free. Lina, newly engaged to Dubai-based investor Tariq Al-Hamadi, booked the date, only to have her younger sister allegedly intervene, present private family messages, and convince the venue to cancel Lina's contract and keep her reported £80,000 deposit. "Aria's supposed to be the nice one," says one insider. "But what she did was nuclear." Lina's devastated. There was a photo of her and Noah taken at a charity gala, Noah in his midnight suit, Aria in emerald silk, both laughing, cropped next to a paparazzi shot of Lina leaving a Mayfair club wearing a dress that barely existed. The final paragraph twisted the knife. While Aria continues to position herself as the compassionate face of Kapoor philanthropy, some wonder whether behind closed doors she's as ruthless as any CEO. In love and war, it seems, even saints sharpen their knives. The taxi blurred. "Miss? Are you all right?" the driver asked, glancing in the rearview mirror. "I'm fine," Aria lied. Could you just pull over for a minute?" She stepped out onto the pavement, leaning against a shop front, air cold on her face. There was only one person who could have supplied those quotes, that framing, those details, someone in the family. Or someone dating into it. She dialed Zara back with numb fingers. "Well," she said. "That was creative." "I'm so sorry," Zara said. "It's obviously slanted. They make it sound like you marched in there with a machete and threatened to burn Evermere down unless they handed over your sister's money." Aria huffed a humorless laugh. "I didn't even raise my voice." "I know," Zara said. "We knew something might leak, but we thought it would be whispers." "This is orchestrated." "Tariq," Aria said. "It wasn't a question." "Likely," Zara agreed. "He has friends at those papers. And he's the sort who loves being the wronged party, even when he's not the one who lost anything." "What are people saying?" Aria asked, bracing. "Initial wave is divided," Zara said. "Half the comments are the usual sexism, catfight, sisters behaving badly. The other half are people going, if my sister stole my wedding while my partner was having spinal surgery, I'd nuke her too." "You're trending, though. #wedding war, #Kapoor sisters, #Ice Queen Aria." "People are entertained." "Of course they are," Aria murmured. "From a brand perspective," Zara continued carefully, "we can do one of three things. 1. Ignore it. Let it blow over. 2. Issue a bland statement about private family matters and continuing to focus on our philanthropic work. 3. You give your version to a more reputable outlet and we reframe the narrative." "Absolutely not to 3, Aria said immediately. "I am not turning our family mess into a media tour." "I thought you'd say that," Zara said. "Personally, I'd lean toward option 2. Something short. Calm. No mudslinging." Aria exhaled slowly. "Draft me something," she said. "Nothing defensive. Just firm." "On it," Zara said. "And Aria?" "For what it's worth." The people whose opinion actually matters already know who you are. Aria hung up and texted Noah. Aria, if you see anything online about me being an ice queen, it's probably true. Noah, I have always said your resting face is intimidating. Aria, face with rolling eyes. Noah, jokes aside, I saw the article. I also saw the comments defending you. Internet is split, sure, but reasonable people get it. Aria, my mother won't. Noah, your mother still believes Anthony from HR hacked the family Netflix when it logged her out. She snorted. Aria, I love you. Noah, I know. Come home. We'll read the worst comments out loud and rate them for creativity. She put her phone away, squared her shoulders, and got back in the taxi. If they wanted to frame her as an ice queen, fine. Ice held things together. Fire just burned. Lina's new wedding was booked within a week. She chose the Kapoor flagship hotel in Mayfair, of course, the one with the rooftop pool and the restaurant that constantly chased another Michelin star. Raj gave her the presidential suite for the weekend and a blank check for decor. She will still have a beautiful day, Mira told Aria on the phone, her voice fragile. Even if it is not Evermere. I never said she couldn't have a beautiful day, Aria said. Just not by taking mine. You didn't have to take her money, Mira said quietly. Aria bit back the urge to correct her. I didn't take anything. Have you told her you're not reimbursing it? She asked instead. A long pause. She is my daughter, Mira said. I cannot see her suffer like this. So you are reimbursing it, Aria said. Your father and I decided, you and Dad, Aria said, are welcome to set fire to your fortune however you like. Just don't pretend it's about justice. You are being cruel, Mira whispered. No, Mom, Aria said, tired. For once in your life, I am not cleaning up after Lina. That's all. She ended the call before her mother could cry. Later that week, a glossy invitation arrived at Aria's flat. White card, gold foiling, the Kapoor crest embossed at the top. Lina Kapoor and Tariq Al-Hamadi. Request the pleasure of your company. At their wedding celebration. Saturday, May 30th. The Kapoor London, Mayfair. Aria stared at it, then flipped it over. On the back, in swirling script, someone, Lina, had written, "No knives, please. We've already been stabbed in the back." Noah found her at the kitchen table, the invitation between her fingers. Wow, he said, picking it up. Subtle. I should frame it, Aria said dryly. Exhibit A, and why my therapist will eventually make a down payment on a villa. You're not going, are you? He asked. Of course she is, Zara said over speakerphone. She called to confirm a donor list. You have to go. If you don't, she wins the narrative in your family's head. Poor Lina, her cruel sister couldn't even show up. Go. Wear something lethal. Drink their champagne. Then leave when the music gets loud. Zara, you are a menace, Noah said, amused. I'm a PR professional, she replied. Same thing. Aria sighed. I don't want to be the ghost in the corner of her photos, she said. You won't be, Noah said. She'll choose angles that block you out anyway. He took her hand, lacing their fingers. Let's go, he said. Together. We see how bad it is. We get a story out of it. Then we come home and eat ramen in bed. She smiled despite herself. Fine, she said. But if someone throws cake, I'm not shielding anyone but you. The Kapoor London was dressed like a fairy tale on steroids. On the day of the wedding, the hotel's facade was draped in white roses and orchids, cascading from balconies like floral waterfalls. A red carpet stretched from the curb to the entrance, dotted with photographers. Aria stepped out of the car and heard the camera shutter stutter, the murmurs rise. That's the sister, the one from the article. She looks normal. She wore a simple navy gown that bared one shoulder, her hair in a sleek twist. Noah walked slowly beside her, still careful with his back but moving with more ease, his tucks sharp. Inside, the ballroom glittered. Crystal chandeliers, mirrored walls, tables piled with flowers. A string quartet played something classical that had been aggressively modernized. Lina was a vision in beaded white and tulle, her train ridiculous in length, her smile wide enough to crack glass. Tarek looked like a man who'd just bought something expensive and wanted everyone to know it. Mira rushed over the moment Aria entered. "You came," she said, relief flooding her face. "Thank God. I was so afraid you wouldn't." "I'm not a monster, Mom," Aria said. "She's still my sister, even if she's homicidal." "Do not say such things on a night like this," Mira scolded, but she kissed her daughter's cheek. Lina spotted her across the room. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. Then Lina raised her champagne flute in a mocking toast and turned away. "Wow," Noah murmured. "Warm." "It's progress," Aria said. She didn't throw anything. They took their seats at a table with cousins and assorted business allies. The ceremony was mercifully short and almost entirely about Lina's dress, Lina's journey, Lina's unshakable belief in love. "Did she write this herself?" Noah whispered. "A stylist and a ghostwriter, I'd wager," Aria murmured back. During the reception, Tarek's best man, a hedge fund bro with too much gel, gave a speech that included a joke about wedding venues that actually want us. "You know it's true love when a man loses 80 grand and still says I do," he quipped. To Tarek and Lina, who know that some people can't stand seeing others happy. Some chuckles, some uneasy shifting. Aria's fingers dug into her napkin. Noah's hand found her knee under the table, grounding. "Let it pass," he murmured. Later, in the ladies' room, Aria found herself at the sink next to one of her younger cousins, Alicia. The girl was reapplying lipstick, eyes gleaming with gossip. "Did you hear what Aunt Nita said?" Alicia whispered. "She told Mum, if Aria can do this to her own sister, imagine what she does to her enemies." Aria met her own eyes in the mirror. For once, she didn't flinch. "Your Aunt Nita once told people I stole her emeralds because she'd misplaced them in a plant pot," she said. "Her opinion is, not data." Alicia snorted. "For what it's worth," the girl said. "When the article came out, all my friends were on your side. We were like, yes, finally, someone stands up to these main character sisters." "I thought I was the main character," Aria said. "Gen Z has room for two," Alicia said, grinning. "But only one gets a redemption arc." "Who says I want one?" Aria said. Alicia laughed and hugged her impulsively. "You're cooler as the anti-hero," she said, and breezed out. When the cake had been cut, speeches done, and Bollywood remixes assaulted the speakers, Aria found Lina alone on the terrace, smoking. "You don't even like cigarettes," Aria said, stepping outside. Lina exhaled smoke toward the city lights. "They look good in photos," she said. For a moment, they stood in silence. "Nice wedding," Aria said. "Nice of you to come," Lina replied. "I half expected you to stand up during the vows and shout objection." "Wrong sister," Aria said. "I prefer paperwork to drama." Lina glanced at her, smirked. "Clearly." She flicked ash over the balcony. "So," she said. "Are you happy? You got what you wanted." "Evermere. Your precious date. My money evaporated and Daddy had to bail me out." "Did it feel like bailing out or like a teaching moment?" Aria asked. "Same thing in this family," Lina said. "He lectured me for 40 minutes about risk management. Then he wired me another 100,000 and told me to be more careful who I pissed off." Aria winced. 100? She asked. Lina shrugged. He overcompensates when he feels guilty. You know that. So he rewarded you, Aria said. Again. Lina laughed, bitter. Do you really think this was a reward? She asked. You humiliated me publicly. I'm the girl who got her wedding cancelled because she tried to steal her sister's date. Do you know how much that matters in our circles? I will never live this down. You could try not doing things worth gossiping about, Aria said. Lina rolled her eyes. Please, she said. You think you're any better? They call you the Ice Queen now. You think that name doesn't stick? Behind your back, they'll say, don't cross Aria. She'll find a claws and cut your throat. I don't cut throats, Aria said. I just stop people using my neck as a stepping stone. Keep telling yourself that, Lina said. Just remember, when you go low, everyone expects me to go lower. Everyone's waiting to see what I'll do at your wedding. You created that. Aria's skin prickled. What are you planning? She asked. Lina smiled, teeth white in the dark. Relax, she said. I won't ruin your big day. I'm not a monster. That's debatable, Aria said. Lina tapped Ash again. But I won't forget, she said. You drew blood, Aria. Don't be surprised when I take my time choosing where to stab. It was said lightly, like a line in a movie. But Aria knew her sister well enough to hear the truth behind the performance. They'd passed some invisible point of no return. There would be no heartfelt reconciliation, no movie montage of sisters laughing in matching robes. There would be ceasefires, perhaps. But the war was permanent. In the months that followed, Aria's life shrank and expanded at once. The family group chat went quiet. There were side groups now, Mum and Dad and Aria, Mum and Lina, cousins without parents. Screenshots flowed like contraband. When Diwali came and the family gathered at the country estate, Aria and Lina moved around each other like magnets, repelling, never touching. Publicly, the storm blew over. The Daily Globe found a new scandal, the hashtags cooled. Aria's statement, crafted by Zara, signed off by lawyers, had been polite and dull. My family's private matters are exactly that, private. I remain focused on my work and my partner's recovery, and wish my sister every happiness in her marriage. The gossip machine, deprived of oxygen, moved on. Privately, Noah's recovery became the center of Aria's world. Physiotherapy sessions, careful core exercises, awkward new ways of being intimate. They laughed about it, cried about it, made up stupid songs about painkillers. One evening, lying together on the sofa, Noah traced patterns on her arm. I've been thinking, he said. Dangerous, she replied. He nudged her gently. You know how we keep talking about moving out of London eventually? He asked. To where? She asked. Mars? Cornwall? I was thinking, smaller steps, he said. What if we bought something of our own now? Not a Kapoor property. Not a company flat. Our own place. Even if it's tiny and the bathroom is basically a cupboard. She turned her head to look at him. With what money? She asked. Your academic salary and my foundation director's pay by us, a shed, maybe. He smiled. We have savings, he said. And I have equity in a startup now, remember? And you have shares your father can't yank without a board fight. We're not poor, Aria. We just think we are because we grew up next to a black hole of wealth. She considered that. What about Evermere? She asked. What about the wedding? The expectations? We can still have Evermere, he said. And we can still walk out of it into our own front door, not your parents' guest wing. The idea lodged in her chest like something bright. She thought of Lina's words on the terrace, you created this narrative. Everyone's waiting to see what I'll do at your wedding. What if, she thought, the wedding wasn't the climax of her story anymore? What if it was just one event in a life she actually owned? Okay, she said slowly. Let's look. Quietly. Just us and a boring estate agent who doesn't read the Globe. He kissed her forehead. Deal, he said. We'll find something with terrible curtains and fix it up. They started viewing flats on Saturdays when Noah felt up to walking. Small places, mostly, in converted townhouses, with uneven floors and questionable wallpaper. It felt like browsing alternate lives. In this one, they'd have a tiny balcony filled with plants, in that one, a kitchen barely big enough for 2 people. In an old building off a quiet square, they found it. A third-floor flat with tall windows, cracked ceiling roses, and a view of a tree that exploded with pink blossoms in spring. The kitchen was a disaster, the bathroom dated, but the bones were good. It feels, Aria said, standing in the empty living room, possible. Not like a showroom, Noah said. Like a place where actual humans live. She imagined a battered sofa by the window, bookshelves along the wall, a rug they'd fight over choosing. A dining table where the chairs didn't all match because they'd collected them over time. It was the opposite of everything she'd grown up in. She loved it instantly. They put in an offer. The seller, a retired professor, liked Noah's academic credentials and Aria's refusal to haggle for sport. The deal was done within a month. Raj, when she told him, had raised an eyebrow. So, he'd said over coffee in his office, "You are buying property that I did not select, in a building I do not own, with money I did not give you." "Yes," she said. "Some of it is technically yours, dividends, but I earned those." He'd stared at her, then laughed. "Maybe I did raise one of you correctly," he said. "At least one of my daughters knows how to build something instead of just decorating it." She didn't know whether to be flattered or insulted. "Will you come see it once we've moved?" she asked. "Of course," he said. "As long as you promise not to make me sit on beanbags. I am too old for furniture without back support." She smiled. "I promise chairs," she said. Mira had cried, of course. "You're moving out of your flat already?" she'd said. "But it's so close." "This will be further." "It's 20 minutes away, Mum," Aria said. "I didn't move to Scotland." 20 minutes is an eternity when your mother is old and fragile, Mira said. "You are 56 and run circles around your friends," Aria said. "You'll be fine." Lina said nothing. If she was offended that Aria had dared to buy something without consulting her aesthetic, she kept it to herself. Aria took that as progress. As the new flat slowly became a home, paint swatches, second-hand furniture, arguments about whether a mustard armchair was quirky or heinous, Evermere loomed closer. Helena called with vendor updates. Charles checked in about menus, layouts, the string quartet. "We have a lot of experience with complicated families," Helena said delicately one afternoon as they walked through the river garden. "Just so you know. We can assign extra security to the perimeter. We can restrict bar service if anyone becomes exuberant." "You mean if my sister tries to start a fight during the speeches?" Aria said. Helena smiled thinly. "We find it best to plan for the worst and be pleasantly surprised." "You've had guests throw things?" Noah asked, hobbling along the path beside them. "Once," Helena said. The groom's ex turned up in a white dress and attempted to tackle the bride into the cake. "We intercepted her at the French doors." "Wow," Noah said. "Suddenly our drama seems tame." "I wouldn't go that far," Helena murmured. Aria hesitated. "There's something you should know," she said. "My sister, she doesn't tend to let things go. There's a non-zero chance she'll attempt some kind of statement. I don't know what. A stunt. A speech. At minimum, a dress designed to steal focus." Helena nodded. "We will brief staff," she said. "Trays can be rerouted. Microphones can malfunction. We are very good at making problems invisible. Thank you, Aria said, gratitude thick in her chest. She'd spent enough time smoothing over other people's disasters. It felt strange, good, to have someone doing it for her. Later, back at their flat, she sat at the kitchen table with a notepad. What are you doing? Noah asked, stirring a pan. Risk assessment, she said. I've made a list of potential ways Lina could try to sabotage the day. He peered over her shoulder. The list read, bribe florist to displace arrangements / send wrong flowers, leak ceremony details to press / paparazzi, ambush wear white, obviously make a joke in speech that isn't a joke, stage some dramatic fainting episode mid-vows, swap playlist for something obscene, forget to deliver something she promised, e.g., mum's jewelry. Right before ceremony, bring Tariq and his entourage and start an argument, not turn up at all and then claim she was uninvited, make me the villain again. You know what this is? Noah said. This is your brain trying to control what you can't. Planning is controlling, she said. I'm good at that. He turned off the stove, came around and sat opposite her. You can't script your sister, he said. You can put guardrails up. You can inform the venue. But at some point you have to accept she'll do what she's going to do. Our job is to enjoy our wedding anyway. She frowned. What if she actually ruins it? She asked. What if all people remember is the day Lina did X? Then, he said, we'll elope the next day and have a secret ceremony in a registry office with 2 strangers as witnesses. And we'll know that's our real wedding and Evermere was just theater. She smiled. You'd be okay with that? She asked. I signed up to marry you, he said. Not your venue or your family. Although I'm quite fond of Helena. Same, she said. He took the notebook gently, closed it. Plan what you need to feel sane, he said. But don't let her live rent-free in our heads. She sighed. Fine, she said. I'll cap my sabotage scenarios at 10. Anything beyond that is overthinking. Anything beyond that is you auditioning for a job in national security, he said. She grinned. Do you think MI6 needs someone to analyze sister-based threats? She asked. After the way you handled the Evermere contract war, he said. Probably. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and unnervingly calm. Aria woke in the bridal suite at Evermere with sunlight on her face and no immediate sense of dread. It was almost disorienting. Zara was there, of course, in jeans and a blazer, sipping coffee and managing a 3-person WhatsApp group titled No Fires, pleased with Helena and Evermere's head of security. I've rerouted all press inquiries to me, she said, scrolling. Anyone who calls the venue gets a polite private event and a deadline. We have 3 guards on the perimeter. Your sister has already arrived. She is wearing gold, not white. Progress. Define gold, Aria said warily. Metallic, Zara said. Shiny. But not bridal. Helena says it's very look at me, but it won't get her turned away. Aria exhaled. Fine, she said. She can be sparkly. This day is still mine. Her dress hung by the window, not a ball gown, not a slip, something in between. Silk that moved like water, delicate embroidery that caught the light. She'd chosen it in a small boutique with no paparazzi, no mother, no sister. Just her and Noah's opinion, via FaceTime. You look like you, he'd said, when she'd tried it on. Just amplified. That was all she'd wanted. The hours before the ceremony blurred, hair, makeup, photos with her parents, Mira already teary, Raj looking bewildered and proud. He slipped an old coin into her hand. Your grandfather carried this in his pocket at my wedding, he said. Now it's your turn. Thank you, she said, throat tight. He looked at her for a long moment. For what it's worth, he said quietly, I was wrong. About how I responded. I shouldn't have made you feel like you were the problem for standing your ground. She blinked. So you're saying I wasn't the villain? She asked. I'm saying sometimes, he said, the one who stops the car crash gets blamed for the skid marks. It was a strange, Kapoor way of apologizing. It would do. Out in the river garden, chairs lined the aisle, sunlight glittering off the water. Guests murmured, turned to stare as music began. Noah waited at the front, back straight, face open. She could see the faint outline of his surgical scar under his collar, the slight stiffness in one leg, and loved him more fiercely for it. As she walked down the aisle, she saw the faces, cousins, friends, colleagues, a few carefully selected journalists who were also genuinely friends. Her father on her arm, her mother dabbing at her eyes, Lina in the third row, looking like a molten statue. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. Lina's gaze was unreadable. Aria lifted her chin, smiled, and kept walking. The ceremony was perfect. No dramatic interruptions. No fainting episodes. No sudden storm. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, hers pragmatic and earnest, his poetic and funny. The officiant pronounced them married. Someone hooped. People cried. Noah squeezed her hand so hard her fingers tingled. At the reception, speeches were mercifully short. Zara had quietly nixed any open mic toasts. Nothing good has ever come from "Does anyone else want to say a few words?" she'd said, and Helena had agreed. Raj spoke briefly about resilience and partnership. Mira told an embarrassing story about Aria's childhood obsession with stationery. Noah's best man made a joke about spinal surgery that somehow landed. Lina did take the microphone, once. Aria felt the air tighten as her sister stood. I wasn't going to say anything, Lina began, smile dazzling. This is Aria's day, after all. And I do hate stealing her spotlight. A few awkward laughs. But I want to say this, she continued. My sister and I are not alike. She is the responsible one. The sensible one. The one who reads the fine print. Aria braced. I am not, Lina said. I jump first and look second. I make mistakes, sometimes spectacular ones. This last year, we hurt each other. We both bled. Some of it ended up in the newspapers. A ripple of amusement. But here's what I know, Aria would walk through fire for the people she loves. She will also drag you back through it if you try to hurt them. She looked at Noah. Noah, she said. Welcome to our very strange family. Thank you for giving my sister a reason to finally fight for herself, not just for everyone else. Take care of her, because if you don't, she will find a way to sue you. Laughter. Lina raised her glass. To Aria and Noah, she said. May your contract be ironclad and your love slightly less litigious. It wasn't an apology. Not really. But it was something. Aria felt tension loosen in her chest she hadn't realized she was still carrying. After the speeches, as the band started and people moved to the dance floor, Lina drifted over. Before you say anything, she said, I cleared that speech with Zara. She made me take out the part about Evermere being cheap. Evermere is many things, Aria said. Cheap is not one of them. Lina smiled, quick and tired. For what it's worth, she said, if I ever get divorced, I'm not coming anywhere near this place. They're terrifying. Charles sends his regards, Aria said. He says you're on their do not book list forever. I'll have to live, Lina said. They stood in silence for a beat. This doesn't mean we're fixed, Aria said softly. I know, Lina said. We're still us. You're still infuriating. I'm still me. But maybe it means, Aria said, we don't have to destroy each other every time one of us wants something. Lina rolled her eyes. Don't get sentimental, Ice Queen, she said. It doesn't suit you. She hesitated, then leaned in and kissed Aria's cheek. Happy wedding, she whispered. Try not to sue anyone during the first dance. She spun away before Aria could answer. Noah appeared at her elbow. Is it safe to come out now? He asked. Has the dragon gone back to her lair? She complimented my litigious tendencies, Aria said. I think that's her version of love. He laughed. Then you're very loved, he said. They stepped onto the dance floor. His back twinged, he grimaced. We can sit, she said immediately. We don't have to, he shook his head. We've waited 2 years for this, he said. I am dancing with my wife. Even if it's just one slow circle. The band played something soft. They moved carefully, nothing dramatic, just slow swaying, his hand warm on her waist, her head against his shoulder. Around them, Evermere shimmered, candlelight, flowers, friends. Somewhere in the crowd, phones were filming. Stories would be told about this day, about the dress, the speeches, the fact that both Kapoor sisters had been in the same room without a bloodbath. People would gossip. They always would. But Aria realized, in that moment, that it mattered less than she'd thought. She had her October. She had Noah, alive and standing, his heart beating against her cheek. She had a home to go back to that no one could take from her with a phone call. She had learned, the hardest way, that loving your family didn't mean letting them set you on fire. Maybe some people would always think she'd gone too far. That she'd been petty. Vindictive. An ice queen. But she knew the truth of that day at Evermere 2 years earlier, when she'd walked into Charles Avery's office with shaking hands and a stack of paper. She hadn't gone there to destroy her sister. She'd gone there to save herself. As the song ended and people clapped, Noah pulled back and looked at her. On a scale of 1 to 10, he asked softly, "How happy are you right now?" She thought of the MRI scans, the hospital nights, the fight with her sister, the dinner where her father had called her dangerous. She thought of the flat with the bad wallpaper, the tree outside the window, the slow, stubborn way they'd built something real. 11, she said. He smiled. Good, he said. Because so am I. They kissed as the crowd cheered, and for once, the noise felt like celebration instead of scrutiny. Somewhere inside, the old scars of the wedding war cooled. Boundaries, she thought, weren't walls. They were doors with locks she controlled. And this door, finally, was opening onto a life that was hers. For years later, by the time Aria saw the post, the fight over the wedding deposit felt like a story that had happened to another woman. It was a Sunday morning. Noah had taken their 3-year-old son, Dev, to the park in a valiant attempt to burn off toddler energy, and the flat was momentarily quiet. The tree outside the window was in bloom again, a riot of pink, scattering petals onto the pavement. Aria sat at the old wooden table they'd bought secondhand, a mug of coffee cooling beside her laptop. She was supposed to be reviewing a proposal for a new scholarship fund. Instead, she was scrolling. The title caught her eye before she could stop herself. Aita for getting my sister's £80,000 wedding deposit seized after she stole my venue while my fiancé was recovering from emergency spinal surgery? Her heart jolted. She clicked. The post was long. The writing was a little messier than hers, the details fuzzed to anonymity, no names, no Evermere, no London, but the bones were identical. My sister booked my wedding venue on the date I had to postpone because my fiancé needed emergency spinal surgery. I got her £80,000 deposit seized 3 weeks before her new wedding. My family thinks I went nuclear. Aita? There was no way to know if it was hers, reposted and embellished, or someone else's very similar nightmare. Internet stories had a way of mutating, cloning, becoming urban legend. But as she read, she felt that old familiar tightness in her chest. The same justifications. The same guilt. The top comment had 50,000 upvotes. Deleted. NTA. She didn't just accidentally book the same date. She waited until you were at your most vulnerable and then deliberately took something that mattered to you. Actions have consequences. You didn't ruin her life, you enforced a boundary. Another, spine and wine. You snooze you lose about emergency spinal surgery would have sent me straight into supervillain mode. Honestly, you were more restrained than I would have been. And another, contract_nerd. As a lawyer, you did exactly what you were supposed to do. The venue had a binding agreement with you. They corrected their error and applied their own policy to someone acting in bad faith. Your sister's deposit was the price of her attempted theft. Aria sat back, staring at the screen. For years ago, she'd opened a blank tab and typed almost exactly that title, then closed it without posting. Now I'm wondering if I should have just backed off, the anonymous poster wrote. Aita? She could hear her younger self in the line. The hesitance. The need for a verdict. Her phone buzzed. Noah, Dev just asked if trees get married to other trees. I told him to ask you because this is your area of expertise. She smiled, fingers already moving to reply, then stopped. Instead, she opened a new tab. For a moment, her hands hovered over the keys. Then she began to type. Aita for getting my sister's massive wedding deposit seized after she took my venue and date while my fiancé was recovering from emergency spinal surgery? This happened a few years ago, but it's still a point of tension in my family, and I saw a post here that is, weirdly similar. It dredged everything back up, and now I'm wondering if my perspective has softened or not. I, then 28F, now 32F, come from a very wealthy, very image-conscious family. My parents built a big business, my older sister, then 31F, and I grew up in that world. Think charity galas, magazine spreads, gossip columns. Not bragging, just context. In our world, weddings are events, and everyone cares way too much about venues and photos. I've always been the sensible one. I run the philanthropic arm of the family business. My sister is more of a socialite/influencer type. Our parents spoil her, to put it mildly. About a year and a half before our planned date, my fiancé, now husband, was diagnosed with a severely herniated disc. He needed emergency spinal surgery. Recovery time, 8 to 12 weeks minimum. The surgeon was very clear that our big wedding, which was in 3 months, was not realistic. We had already booked a very fancy country estate venue for October 14th. Huge deposit, paid by my father as a wedding gift. When we found out about the surgery, I called the venue in tears, explained everything. They were kind and said they'd roll our deposit to the same date the following year. We signed an amendment to our original contract stating that our booking was moved, not cancelled. I told my whole family in our group chat that we were postponing due to my fiancé's surgery. My sister replied, "OMG, that sucks, hope he feels better soon," with heart emojis. That was that, or so I thought. 2 days later, my mum called me crying, saying my sister had just announced her engagement, news to me, and booked her wedding. For October 14th. At the same venue. I literally laughed at first because I thought my mum was confused. There was no way. I called the venue and the new manager, who hadn't handled my booking, confirmed that someone with my sister's name had just put down a deposit for October 14th of the same year my wedding had been moved to. I tried to call my sister. Straight to voicemail. Texted, no response. Finally got through using my mum's phone. She picked up immediately. I asked her why on earth she'd booked my venue on my date. Her exact words were, "Your date? You cancelled it." I said, "No, I postponed it." "You knew that." We signed an amendment, the venue moved us to next year. Her, well, the venue said it was available, so I booked it. Not my problem you couldn't keep your date. I've been engaged for months and we want to get married before the end of the year. You snooze, you lose. Then she hung up and blocked my number. I sat in a hospital room next to my fiancé, still on pain meds, absolutely shaking. My parents and aunts started in on me about being the bigger person, letting it go, there are other venues. My dad's line was that my sister probably didn't understand the legal side, she's functionally allergic to reading contracts. Here's where I might be the AH. I still had our original contract and the signed amendment stating clearly that our October 14th date the following year was protected for us. So I made an appointment with the venue owner, not just the manager. I brought everything, contracts, amendment, screenshots of the family group chat where I clearly said we were postponing due to surgery. The owner was horrified. The new manager had not checked the amendment registry and had treated the date as free. On their system, our booking was older and the amendment valid. My sister's was brand new. Their contract had a clause, I didn't even know this until then, that basically said, if someone books a date knowing it's already reserved for someone else, intending to displace them, the venue can cancel that booking and keep the deposit and ban them from rebooking. I showed the owner the texts, my "we're postponing due to surgery" message and my sister's "OMG that sucks" reply, plus "you snooze you lose" after I confronted her. The owner called my sister on speaker and asked if she'd known the date was previously reserved by me. My sister said I cancelled and acted like this was all just opportunism. When the owner clarified that she'd seen proof my wedding was postponed, not cancelled, my sister pivoted to saying I was making everything about me and could pick any other date, any other venue. She also accused me, on speaker, of weaponizing my fiancé's surgery to get special treatment. The owner decided my sister had acted in bad faith. They cancelled her booking, banned her from the venue, and per the clause, kept her deposit. It was a huge amount, more than most people make in a year. I didn't ask them to keep the deposit specifically, I did ask them to enforce their own contract. They chose to invoke the harsh clause rather than treat it as a simple admin error/refund. Cue nuclear fallout. My sister went ballistic and told everyone I stole her money. My parents were furious with me for humiliating her and overreacting. My aunt accused me of destroying my sister's happiness over a date. Meanwhile, my fiancé, who was still learning to walk without pain, thought I was justified but was honestly shocked the venue actually kept the money. My parents ended up quietly reimbursing my sister the full deposit, plus extra, because that's how they operate, and bankrolling a new wedding at one of our family's hotels. So financially, she's fine. But the story leaked to the press, not my doing, and for a while I was the ice queen sister in the tabloids. Some family members still think I should have just picked a different venue to keep the peace. Fast forward, my husband recovered, we got married at the original venue on the new October date, it was wonderful, my sister and I have a tense truce. We are civil at family events, we will never be close. But sometimes I see the strain it still causes, especially with my mother, and I wonder, should I have just let it go? Should I have moved venues to avoid all this drama? Did I go too far by letting the venue keep her deposit instead of insisting they refund her? Aita? She hovered a second over the post button. Then she stopped herself and selected all. Her finger hovered over delete. Instead, she copied it, opened a blank document titled "Things I Needed to Say" years later, and pasted it there. Truth was, she didn't need 20,000 strangers to tell her what she already knew. She'd lived the verdict. She closed her laptop and picked up her phone. Aria, did the trees say yes? Noah, they're in complicated situationships with the bushes. Aria, face with tears of joy, we should get them an Aita account. Noah, Aita for dropping my leaves on my neighbor's lawn every autumn? Aria, NTA. Noah, exactly. Come to the park. Your son is attempting to negotiate with a pigeon. She grabbed her coat. As she locked the door, she thought about the anonymous poster whose story she'd read, who sounded so much like her younger self. She hoped that person read all the NTAs and felt their spine stiffen in a good way. Because here, for years later, sitting in a small flat she owned with a man who'd learned to walk again, with a wedding long done and a toddler who believed trees got married, she knew. Setting that boundary had cost her. It had also saved her. Her family still saw it as going nuclear. She saw it as finally refusing to be collateral damage. On the way to the park, the river sparkled between buildings. Somewhere upstream, Evermere House stood, hosting someone else's vows. The date on the wedding stationery now read a different year. The battles over it had faded into story. She smiled, pulled her scarf a little tighter, and walked toward her husband and her son, who were arguing, very seriously, with a pigeon over a piece of bread. Whatever the internet might have decided, in the only court that mattered, the small, ordinary one of her actual life, she knew her own verdict. Not the asshole. Just done.